Hey guys, so I was actually planning on making this video a while ago, but that didn't really happen. So anyway, just a little bit of extra information. First of all, I have a Twitter account, and it's just for YouTube. Don't worry, it's not like, I don't know. I think Twitter for talking to friends and such is a waste of time because you can talk in person, or maybe you have like the Skype account or something. You can use that, but Twitter to talk to other people that you know is kind of a waste of time. I think it's better used as an outlet to people that you don't know, which is how I'm going to be using it. So check out my Twitter account somewhere. I don't know where it's going to be, probably in the description and on my channel homepage. And there's one other thing. So if you'll have noticed, I called this video on the topic of blenders, and the S was probably a typo. Probably not, actually, considering that my jokes are really bad. But every time I make a video that's called on the topic of something, it's going to be a rant type video, usually something that I don't like. So this time I'm talking about on the topic of blenders because I don't really like Blender as an animation studio, but I'm going to keep using it, which I'll talk about later. But every time you see on the topic of, it's going to be a rant video. So if you don't like rant videos, first of all, click out of this video, and second of all, don't click on any other videos that say on the topic of so and so, just so you know, as a disclaimer, I guess. So yeah, just putting that out there for you guys, just so you know. So this is a rant video, so I'm just going to have as few cuts as possible because it's a rant video, you know. So let's get started. So as you might know, I have been using Blender for the past few months. In fact, I've used it so much. I currently have 71 hours counted in Blender right now, and that might seem like a lot, but after you take out all the times that I left on Blender without realizing it was open, that still is kind of high. But still, 71 hours. 71 hours is an incredibly long time to spend on what's it called, an animation studio, or anything for that matter, unless it's school, I guess. But in a few months to spend 71 hours on Blender just kind of blows my mind, because before I never really thought about how much I use Blender, but it's obviously a lot, considering how much I've done and how much I've learned and how much I've progressed. And I've progressed a lot since my first animations. As you can see, the object I'm making in the background right now is actually not going to be used. I recorded this before I realized that I wouldn't use it. It's a waste, because I spent like 3 hours on this model. 3 or 4 actually, closer to 4 after I finished this video. But it's about 4 hours on this one model, and I'm not using it, and that's a waste of time. That's a big waste of time. But I feel like, you know, I'm not going to use it, and it wasn't very good in the first place, so you know, forget about that. But I spent an incredibly long time on these things, and it's just insane. So I'm getting really off topic here. I need to get my train of thought back on track, because it's getting really off topic. So this one map took a long time, and I'm pretty sure you've already seen it by now, but there was a time in the video, in the recording, that I unwrapped the entire the entire main map. Basically, it's for texturing, so I can color each little face and stuff. And I unwrapped it, and it's incredibly complicated. Like, there's so many faces. Each one of those lines you saw was a face, or at least every pair of those. But there's so many lines that it just kind of it just overwhelmed me for the longest time, because there's so much stuff. There's so much stuff for me to color, and so much stuff for me to do and make, that it just kind of overwhelmed me. So it was very overwhelming. So apart from that, I'm going to talk about a little bit about what caused me to not like Blender in the first place. So a while ago, actually not a while ago, it was like a week ago actually. It was about a week ago when I was assigned a science project. Well, our whole class was, but I decided that, hey, let's do an animation. So we were doing days and seasons or something, and so I had to make a model about the Earth rotating around the sun and having the axis tilt and still spinning without the axis going haywire and all that, right? So I tried to do that, and guess what? I tried for like 4 hours on 2 days or so, and it just did not work. It did not work. Every time I tried to rotate the, what's it called? Every time I tried to rotate the Earth on an axis tilt, it would just screw up so much. And that just annoyed me so much. And I couldn't fix it. I couldn't fix it after so much time. I decided to look it up. And I'm not sure why I didn't look it up earlier, but I decided to look it up, and none of the videos I saw had anything to do with the axis tilt. So I was really confused, right? So then I looked up how to make and use my own axis. And then the guides I saw were very confusing. Like, there were some that skipped half the steps because the people that made them were very advanced, and they assumed that the people that were looking at the guides were also very advanced, so they skipped half the steps that they thought you knew, which was very annoying because I was like, but I am a noob at this. How do I know how to do this? So, I was just confused for the longest time, and eventually I decided not to do it because, it was just a waste of time. I couldn't finish it, even if I tried. I would never be able to finish it. But either I got the axis tilt and the rotation, which either I got the axis tilt and the revolution, or I got the rotation and the revolution. And if you're in my science class, or if you know what those terms are, you'll know what I'm talking about. But other than that, it was just a general nuisance. So, I went to YouTube, and I saw a video made by Pixel Pit, and I realized that he used Autodesk Maya, and I tried to download it, and it costed money, of course. So I downloaded the student version, and I still couldn't figure it out. By that time, there were about 2 or 3 days left before. Wait, no, it was more like 4 or 5 days left before the project was due at that time. So there really wasn't that much time. It was an okay amount of time, but I probably still didn't have enough time to learn how to use Maya and to put that into an animation. And so first I launched up Maya, and it said you're running this off of a student version, and then some other bogus that I can't remember right now, but I just closed it out of that because I really didn't care, and I started working with it, and it was surprisingly easy to work with, and I managed to do a lot more in about like 10 minutes than I was able to do in about 2 hours in Blender, which just kind of blew my mind because suddenly everything was so much simpler, everything was so much easier to work with. So I really liked it. And then I decided to look up a video about how to make the Earth rotate around the sun with the axis tilt and the days and nights and all that. And so I found a video, except his instructions were kind of vague as well. I think it had something to do with the fact that he had a really thick English accent. I am not like discriminating against English people. I'm just saying it was kind of hard to understand because of the way he said it. So apart from that, at the very beginning he said something like, I'm not gonna do very many videos with this because you're not allowed to make money off of Autodesk Maya. And that's when it hit me. Like, I just realized that the disclaimer whenever I launched up Maya or saved anything was that I couldn't make money off of it. And that was a bombshell for me because I was like, why? And I thought about it and realized, like, it would be unfair to make money off something when Autodesk Maya Autodesk didn't get any money from you in the program. So that was kind of that kind of annoyed me because like, I don't want to be there just for the money, but I kind of don't want to sit there and just watch my views or something and not get anything from it. That would be kind of unfortunate. So that's why I stopped using Maya. I still have it on my computer. I'm not sure why, but it's still there. So I started using Blender again, and I by this time I'd given up on Blender, for the planets thing at least. But I still thought I would be able to do an animation, kind of like the ones I've been working on, and as you've seen from the previous animation type video, or the one where I was telling you about my animation, and this one where you can see in the background I'm making whatever I am right now, I can't tell, I'm still working on it, and it's just because I really like using 3D animations. I loved using SFM just because, well, I'm not really sure why, but I just loved using it. And just like that, I love using Blender, but it's very complicated, and for that reason I don't really like most of it. But I'm going to complete at least one animation. That's my goal. I want to complete at least one animation. Otherwise, however many hours I put into it, 71 did I say? Yeah, 71. 71 hours would have gone to waste, and I really don't want to do that. So I want to get something out of it. I want to get at least one animation out of it. So I'm going to make at least one animation. Depending on the reception I get on that one, I might make more or I might stop. But either way, I'm going to keep on doing animation. If I stop doing 3D animation, I'm going to move to 2D animation. And there are upsides and downsides. Both 3D animation is really easy to make it look realistic with the shading and all, but with 2D animation you can make some insane models, or you can make some insane stuff because you don't need to have models. You just draw everything. For example, if I wanted to make something explode, in 3D animation it would be very hard to make a cube or something that was not visible and then suddenly what's it called, expanded into a triangular, multi-triangular faced, I don't know, something. But in 2D animation you can just draw it, and that's what I like about 2D animation. But 3D animation, it's really easy to what's it called, it's really easy to use, to have shading and stuff, and once you have the models it's pretty easy to have all of the baseline stuff. So that's just, that ending part is just a little bit. So that wasn't really a rant, actually. That actually wasn't that much of a rant. I still haven't really, I mean, it kind of did. Blender is bad, by the way. Blender is pretty bad. If you have a choice between Maya and Blender, get Maya if you have the money, that is. But anyway, that is probably just about all for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.